Am I dreaming, or is this actually happening? Capcom is finally doing an HD remaster to one of my favorite games of all time. Unfortunately, it's not in a collection, and seemingly we're not getting the Genma Onimusha content, but at least there's some way to now play Onimusha 1 in HD, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. So first off, let me get into the release date of the game. It's going to be coming out on January 15th of 2019, just a week before Resident Evil 2 Remake, and in my opinion that's cutting it close. However, this gives us a lot of time to find out more information about Onimusha HD and if it's going to be getting any new content exclusive to the HD version or any content that was originally exclusive to the Genma port of Onimusha. Now, the reason that I say that is because at the moment it does not seem like we'll be getting any of the content from the Genma port, the original Xbox version of Onimusha 1. However, that does not mean that there isn't a possibility that we won't be seeing the armors specifically as extra unlocks or potential DLC, as we've seen in previous Capcom HD remasters. A great example to compare this to is the Resident Evil Remake HD Remaster and Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster. Both of those games feature exclusive content that's not found on the original GameCube ports, so this could bring some incentive for people who have played the original PS2 port or maybe even the Genma port to go back and repurchase the HD version of Onimusha Warlords and try it out to see what new content is featured within the game. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that they're going through a similar process to what they did with Resident Evil Remake and Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster as far as how they're remastering this particular game, and that is they go by a room-by-room, case-by-case basis to see if the lighting and any other technical issues are impacting your room, and if they are, they completely redo the room from the ground up. So they get rid of the pre-rendered backgrounds from that room and just completely redo it. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to assume that's the case because on the official website they show this picture here, and they also state that the graphics have been quote-unquote enhanced. So I'm not exactly sure if this is the case, but I'm going to assume that it probably is. There's a few points that I need to bring up. First of all, the soundtrack is going to be completely remixed. The original composer actually came out and admitted that he was a fraud a few years ago, so that's pretty much the reason why they have to remix the soundtrack as to not give him royalties. Despite that, there is going to be a new soundtrack, and Capcom does claim that this new soundtrack is going to be on par, if not surpass, the original. I'll have to wait and see on that one, but I do have a soft spot for the original soundtrack, so I don't know if I'm going to like this new one. But again, it's one of those things where I would rather be able to play the HD game as opposed to never getting it at all. Also, something to note is that you'll now be able to use the analog controls on a controller. In the original ports of Onimusha, you were not able to use the analog controller at all. Like, it just was not an option. You just had to use the D-pad. And they did not implement an analog control feature until Onimusha 3, so this is actually a very good thing because now if you prefer playing fixed camera angled games with a analog control, you can now do that. Speaking of fixed camera angles, there's going to be a scroll feature for the camera. This is something that they implemented into the Resident Evil HD Remake and also the Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster, where certain rooms that did not have this dynamic camera now had this implemented. So this is going to be something that they'll be heavily featuring in Onimusha Warlords HD, which I think is a pretty nice addition to make the camera a little more dynamic and make the game feel a little more different compared to its PS2 and Xbox predecessor. Also, baby mode, actually I meant easy mode, is something that's going to be an immediate unlock, so you don't have to die 3 times in order to unlock it like you did in the original. Just a few other features to note of: you can actually play the game in 4:3 if you don't want to play in the widescreen mode, and there will also be newly recorded Japanese dialogue, so if you prefer playing the game in Japanese, there will be new dialogue compared to the original. I'm not sure if this is the original voice cast or not, but it might be, so do keep note of that. Onimusha HD will be available on several platforms: PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Also, if you're interested in importing the game, there will be several different editions that include different goodies. Those will only be available for PS4 and Nintendo Switch, so do keep that in mind if you're interested in potentially picking up a physical copy as well as importing. With all of that out of the way, I do need to take a step back just a little bit and readdress Genma Onimusha, because I have been seeing some people around on Twitter and YouTube and even on Capcom Unity stating that they wouldn't be buying the game if it didn't include Genma Onimusha content. And I just want to say that if you're going to be like that, then you might as well just say that Onimusha is good as dead. And I really think that that's a bad idea, because with Onimusha Warlords HD, they're trying to gauge the player base and see if people are still interested in Onimusha and if they want to see some sort of return for that franchise, whether it be a reboot, a remake, or a new sequel, or some kind of continuation. On top of that, if Onimusha Warlords succeeds as far as an HD re-release is concerned, then we could potentially see other Onimusha remasters, whether it be Onimusha Tactics, Onimusha Blade Warriors, 2, 3, and Dawn of Dreams. So there's a big emphasis on needing to support this game, because without supporting this game, it could be a permanent death for Onimusha, and that to me would really suck. And to close off on this video, I will say that the idea of seeing an Onimusha 2 and 3 remaster is very exciting to me, because in the future, when those games do end up getting remastered, if they end up getting remastered that is, we'll see more effort put into the enhancement of the graphics and potentially even more content. What's more interesting to me, even though Onimusha 2 is my favorite game in the entire series, Onimusha 3 is actually the first fully 3D Onimusha, so I'd like to see what they would do to enhance that game's visuals and see what other changes would be brought into that particular game from a visual standpoint. But anyways, I'm done with this video, so I'd like to know what you all think down in the comments below. Feel free to share whatever you think about the Onimusha HD Remaster and what you think Capcom should do in the future as far as other HD remasters are concerned. And if you'd like, you can feel free to share the video, like, maybe even subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.